The Denver Broncos had a prove-it game against the Baltimore Ravens, and all that they proved is that they are frauds. That and more on today's edition of Locked On NFL.
The new Locked On NFL. The madman Tyler Rowland is your double shot of NFL espresso, with the Locked On local experts on every major story. Get ready, Rowland is revving up. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Football fans, welcome in to the Locked On NFL podcast, bringing you a double dose of the NFL's biggest stories with help from our local experts that know your favorite teams like no one else. I am your host, the madman, Tyler Rowland, joined today as I am every Monday by Locked On NFL expert Gino Camilleri. On today's show, we'll talk about the Indianapolis Colts laying an egg with Joe Flacco at quarterback. We're also going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals leading the NFC West, but we will start with the Denver Broncos absolutely blowing a prove-it game against the Baltimore Ravens, proving to all of us that they are fraudulent. Before we dive in, I do want to thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen of the day and for being an everydayer here with us at the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the second half of the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a bet for $5 and get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Gino, I'm not going to hide it. I can't stand the Denver Broncos, and their fans can't stand me. But I've said it all season long as they racked up these wins that they are frauds.
Looks like the team that plays at Mile High fell back to earth today, and it came down crashing. And I live here in Denver. I'm an Oregon fan. I love Bo Nix, and I don't think Bo Nix was the problem. I think that defense that was so good for them for the first portion of the season finally played a really good football team. And you and I were talking about this before we came on these airwaves. This schedule for the Broncos, because they weren't very good last year, you get the benefit of playing a not very good schedule the next year. And they've been playing better than expected. On the back end of the season, they'll probably find a way to get into the playoffs. But when push comes to shove against those teams like Baltimore, like Buffalo, who we're going to talk about, are they really contenders? I think they're probably a middle-of-the-pack team like we saw today.
Well, it's fair to ask that question, especially about that defense, and that's something that my guys over at Locked On Broncos talked about after the game.
Man, I tell you what, this was a very interesting game up until the final 2 minutes of the first half here for the Broncos. You know, at one point, it's like, hey, okay, you're going to the locker room. Okay, lucky it's a 17-10 deficit, but things got away. Denver's defense got torched, and really in the final 2 minutes, it created a little bit of a negative snowball effect that trickled down into the third quarter for Denver defensively. They got whooped on Sunday's game.
Yeah, there's really no other way to put it. I mean, you just took a beating at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens. They had their way, every way that they wanted to have it in this game, Cody, and it was tough to watch because we've gotten used to the Broncos defense being a lot tougher than this. So we felt like at the very least, you know, they'd be able to at least smack the Ravens in the mouth a little bit and make this a physical game, get it down to maybe the fourth quarter and stay in this thing.
Well, it was a physical game. It was just the Broncos who were getting smacked around. And look, the Ravens are a very good team. But the reality is, like you said, we talked about this schedule. I mean, look at what the Broncos have played so far. They lost to Seattle. They lost to Pittsburgh. They did beat Tampa Bay. That's probably their best win of the season, the 26-7 win at Tampa Bay. But they beat the Jets 10-9. They beat the Raiders 34-18. Lose to the Chargers. Then they beat the Saints. They beat the Panthers. Like, they have played absolutely nobody. And, you know, that's going to continue. They got smoked by Baltimore this week. They play Kansas City next week and then Atlanta after that. They'll probably lose those games and be at 500. But then Raiders, Browns, Colts, Chargers, Bengals. Like, I agree with you. I think the Broncos do end up sliding into the playoffs, but I cannot wait to bet my entire savings account against this team in the first round of the playoffs. And honestly, it's not even because of Bo Nix. Bo Nix actually looks fine. They don't have a good enough offensive line. They don't have enough explosion and playmakers at the wide receiver position. And the defense is very good but I don't think they're as good as the numbers look based on the opponents that they played so far.
And especially when you look at the tape against their best opponent, which every team game planning against them moving forward is going to look at this Ravens tape. How do we take advantage of that? Well, they're going to have to figure out how to make waves in the middle class of the AFC because there's not many teams that are in that middle class right now. They're going to get the benefit of probably sneaking in with one of those 7 playoff seeds. And if they find a way that they can establish that offensive line and get Javonte Williams in that run game going to help support young Bo, and hopefully for the defense, that's a one-off occasion today. But I still have a hard time putting all my eggs in that basket, like you said, with a first-year quarterback. Him and Sean Payton are still getting on the same page. And when you get to the AFC, some teams that have a lot more experience, Baltimore, let's say a team like Cincinnati sneaks in there. Any of these middle-class teams, I still think that Baltimore is probably a year ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I agree with you on Denver. Yeah, Broncos. 100% agree with you there. Moving over to another huge game on the schedule. The Detroit Lions take care of business against the Green Bay Packers 24-14. And, the Lions look like they're definitely the best team in the NFC. My guy, Matt Derry from Locked On Lions, broke down the win.
The big showdown in the NFC North goes to the Lions as Detroit wins 3 straight at Lambeau Field. They knock off the Packers in the rain at Lambeau 24-14. A dominant performance by the Lions offensive line. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs pounding the football on the Packers all day. Lions were mistake-free, which was key in this win. Jared Goff with a touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Kirby Joseph a pick 6 against Jordan Love. It was a Packers team that was just too sloppy, double-digit penalties. Lions take advantage to improve to 7-1. They're the best team in the NFC North. They're the best team in the NFC. More on Locked On Lions coming up.
So he talked about, mistake-free football for the Lions and the Green Bay Packers getting a little sloppy. Man, Jordan Love wasn't terrible, but he makes the one critical mistake on the pick 6. It's just a common theme with Jordan Love all the time. And this is why I said the Packers were better off to go with Malik Willis than to go with Jordan Love, who isn't healthy. I mean, having the plus in the run game there could have done something. Malik Willis has been completely mistake-free. Jordan Love is a good player, but he continues to make that all the way back to the NFC Championship game. He just continues to make that critical mistake at one point in time during the game, and it's what gets the Packers beat more often than not when they actually lose.
And you see a very, very well-coached football team in Detroit on the other side of the ball today. And Jared Goff, who's absolutely dialed in with offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. And when you're on the road, when you're Detroit, against a team who has had your number for years and years and years, you need to play perfect football. And they did exactly that.
Yes.
And Jordan Love, he has to figure it out. Because I'm with you. If you're going to go into this game and you know that the weather isn't great, you know that if we have 1 or 2 turnovers, that's probably going to push things in the other direction. Why don't we add that running element in Malik Willis and Matt LaFleur, if he's this top 3 play caller, like everybody's continuing to say that he is, we'll put Malik Willis in that situation today. Jordan Love, the turnovers, you're not Patrick Mahomes. You're not Josh Allen. You're not in this tier quite yet. You can't make up for the bad if you continue to spiral out of control. And that's what it was today at home in that environment. What's going to happen when it's snowing in the middle of December? Good luck.
Yeah. It's not a strong start to the season for Jordan Love, even though he's made some incredible plays. I would say that the mistakes have outweighed the good plays that he's made so far. But with that being said, the Arizona Cardinals are a fun team, and it looks like Buffalo barely escaped, but they beat a much improved Miami Dolphins team to take the lead in the AFC East. A lot to discuss. It's Locked On NFL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's edition of Locked On NFL is brought to you by Robin Hood Gold. All right, guys. With Robinhood Gold, You don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made simple, made easy, and most importantly, made fun. That's why they have over 10 million members and have billions of dollars in awarded winnings, because Prize Picks makes daily fantasy accessible to all. All you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. So here's how it works. Just for example, Jamar Chase, 79.5 receiving yards. Patrick Mahomes, 1.5 passing touchdowns. Travis Kelce, 59.5 receiving yards. Again, all you do is pick 2 to 6 players and say whether they're going to do more or less than the Prize Picks projection. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, Gino, let's continue today's edition of Locked On NFL, breaking down a great week 9 in the NFL. We got the Broncos looking like frauds against the Baltimore Ravens. We got the Detroit Lions establishing dominance over the Green Bay Packers. Like Matt said, 3 straight wins in Green Bay. That's big time for a Detroit Lions franchise. But now I want to take a look at one of the most fun teams in the entire NFL, and it's the Arizona Cardinals, who really dominated the Chicago Bears in this one on their way to leading the NFC West.
Arizona Cardinals beat the Chicago Bears convincingly at home 29-9 to move to 5-4 atop the NFC West through 9 weeks, just like we all expected, right? If you would have told me that Kyler Murray threw for under 150 yards, the leading wide receiver would have 2 receptions for the Cardinals, and they turn over the ball twice and lose the turnover battle and still win by 20, be like, yep, that's the Cardinal season in a nutshell. What the Cardinals have shown through 9 weeks, it's not always perfect. It's not always pretty. They've shown they could win ugly, they've shown they could win pretty, and they've shown they can win in game-winning field goal fashion like they've done 2 out of the last 3 weeks. All in all, through 9 weeks, Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, and Nick Rallis have this team ready, prepared, and are 1 week away from their bye week in week 11 in a situation that nobody could have expected to be this good. All that and more on This Week on Locked On Cardinals.
Shout out Alex Clancy, host of Locked On Cardinals, my guy, of course. But you look at the way the Cardinals won this game. It wasn't explosive from Kyler Murray. It was running the football, 213 yards, and that touchdown, Amari DeMercado rips off a 53-yard touchdown run on 3rd and long with about 30 seconds left in the first half, and it really broke the Bears' back. I saw somewhere that's the first touchdown run allowed from that sort of distance with that little of time left in the first half in like 30 years. So the Bears just absolutely falling apart after that Hail Mary. The Cardinals get 6 sacks on Caleb Williams, and some of those are on Caleb Williams for not just knowing when the play is dead. You know, the Bears are still having some of the same problems, but this Cardinals team, as inconsistent and crazy as they are, man, they are fun. And even if they aren't a real contender, I want them in the playoffs because they are exciting.
This division makes absolutely no sense, and I think this is the perfect embodiment of it, that the Arizona Cardinals, who everybody thought would probably be the lowly team in this division, is showing you that sometimes, and it really pains me to say this, seeing what Jonathan Gannon did to the Eagles, but a well-coached team from Jonathan Gannon can put you in a really good position to battle week in and week out. And this is a team that's been scrappy since very early on when they almost go into Buffalo and put up a very good performance against them. Who's to say, let's say San Francisco doesn't get back 100% healthy and Seattle just continues to play the same game that they've played for the last 2 decades where they're always in a one-score game, and all of a sudden the Rams just continue to get banged up. Why can't Arizona go on a run if they're that well coached in a year where you are seeing that poor coaching can hinder your team, i.e. the Chicago Bears and Matt Eberflus on the other side of the football? The Cardinals, with that defense, they're getting after quarterbacks. Kyler Murray is going to continue to push the football down the field when they don't have to rely on a run game that looked otherworldly today. Yes. That's a team that I think you have to worry about if you are in the middle of the pack. I wouldn't want to see them on a wild card Sunday, I'll tell you that much.
They are the wild Cardinals. Like,
100%.
They may completely lay an egg, but if the Cardinals play their best football and they're still out there trying to be buyers and get more pass rush help, and with the 6 sacks, like I think they're 1 year away from being true contenders. But this Cardinals team is just frisky, man. They're fun to watch. But speaking of somebody you need to worry about, someone who I do think is a contender is the Buffalo Bills, and they win the game 30-27. They get a last-second field goal over the Miami Dolphins. And I know a lot of people are thinking to themselves like, oh, the Miami Dolphins, they're not a good football team. But since Tua has been back, the Dolphins are scoring a ton of points again. The offense is moving once again. Like, the Dolphins lost some games when they were banged up and they didn't have Tua. But the Dolphins are a good football team once again with Tua, even though they're 2-6. So I'm not going to discredit the Buffalo win. And they made big plays in big moments, and my guy Joe Marino from Locked On Bills talked about exactly that.
But I think this game came down to 3 massive plays that the Bills made. Number 1, the Taron Johnson peanut punch. Miami has a chance to open up a 17-6 lead. Taron Johnson knocks out the football. Kyer Elam recovers it. The Bills get the ball back and take a lead. So from staring at 17-6 in terms of a deficit to a turnover and a touchdown was a massive swing in the ball game. The Dolphins are leading again 13-12. Josh Allen to Ray Davis for a 63-yard touchdown reception. And then, of course, Tyler Bass from 61 yards out wins the game. A franchise record, the longest kick made in the history of the Buffalo Bills. Tyler Bass, 61 yards to beat the Miami Dolphins.
And really, that gets Bass off the hook. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you. But really, Tyler Bass has been much maligned this year for the Bills. It's not been a good year, and Joe continues talking in the show about how this could be something to kind of turn him around, because we know that kicking is like pitching or like golf, where like it's very confidence based and you can lose it if you don't have your confidence. But the Buffalo Bills just are a resilient football team. They're a tough football team. And that's why I think as we get closer to the playoffs, that I just trust Buffalo in a different way because of the battles that they've gone through and just kind of the toughness that they display. So Buffalo winning the AFC East right now, and I don't expect that to change.
This, for any Formula One fan, feels like a Max Verstappen type of lead for the Buffalo Bills, where he is 10 laps ahead of everybody else and nobody's within sight. That's the AFC East. That's the Buffalo Bills right now. They are the front runners, and I want to see how they continue to play with that lead. Because if you're going to expect that you're just going to coast to winning this division and go into the playoffs without trying to continue to get better each and every week, that may be something that keeps them from hitting the mountaintop.
Yeah, winning the AFC East isn't good enough to win the Super Bowl, and that's their goal.
No, without a doubt. And I think the guys that they have in the building get the message. I think that maybe losing Stephon Diggs and bringing some unity to that locker room truly has made them embrace that city of Buffalo mentality, that blue-collar underdog mentality. And who's going into Buffalo right now and beating them? I don't see a way that you can go into that city right now and beat them in a playoff game if they're playing the way that they are. And if you're talking about quarterbacks that elevate, it's Josh Allen. I mean, he's not turning the ball over anymore.
Absolutely.
You can't tackle the guy. He has an arm that's throwing through 30-mile-an-hour wind. Quite literally, when they're playing at this level, I don't think there's anybody that can beat them. And if anybody knows me personally, that pains me a lot. I'm an anti-Bills guy, but man, I like good football, and they're playing a lot of freaking good football up there in Orchard Park.
Yeah, they are. It's no doubt about it. And, just one of those teams that you can count on to get into maybe that final weekend and see what they're going to be able to do. But with that being said, we got to talk about the Sunday night football snoozer because the Colts benched Anthony Richardson for that. Locked On NFL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Hillsdale College. Time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Well, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, Introduction to Free Market Economics, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced, so you can start whenever or tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or, hey, just enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/locked-on to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/locked-on to register. hillsdale.edu/locked-on. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the second half of the NFL action this season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Gino, let's cap off today's edition of Locked On NFL. Breaking down Week 9 Sunday, man. It's crazy. We are at halfway through the season. It goes so fast once it gets here. And talking about season coming at you fast, I think if you told Indianapolis Colts fans that Anthony Richardson would be benched for Joe Flacco by Week 9, they would not have believed you. But that is exactly what happened. And I didn't like the decision when it happened, and looking at the way things played out now, it looks even dumber. But my guy, Jake Arthur from Locked On Colts, talked about the struggles the Colts had in this one.
The Colts fly back home to Indy tonight with an L as they lose to the Minnesota Vikings on prime time, 21-13. What's up, everybody? This is Jake Arthur with Locked On Colts, and the Colts are now 4-5 on the season. They made the huge switch this week, obviously, to go from Anthony Richardson to Joe Flacco at quarterback. That was not very fruitful. The offense was still very unproductive. They scored just 6 of the 13 points tonight. Defense did its part, had a few turnovers. Kenny Moore scored a defensive touchdown. Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner played out of their minds. So the Colts defense did enough to win. But, yeah, Joe Flacco in the offense, not productive. That number 3 Vikings run D did a great job against the Colts rushing attack as well. Just 48 yards for Jonathan Taylor. This Colts offense just seems broken and still does not have a rhythm right now. So we'll dive into that and way more on Locked On Colts on the whole post-game show on YouTube.
I mean, Joe Flacco had interceptions. The offense could barely move for most of the game. I mean, like halfway through the third quarter, they hadn't even had a drive. I don't think they had a drive getting to the red zone all day. As a matter of fact, not even through the third quarter. Like, the run game is affected because they don't have the +1 of Anthony Richardson. The run game and, the other half of Locked On Colts, Zach Hicks, he put out some statistics showing that the run game is significantly better with Anthony Richardson in, which makes sense because of the +1 factor that he can have in the run game. So if you're the Colts, to go to Joe Flacco and act like it gives you a better chance to win and then come out and give this performance against Minnesota, am I bitter because I thought the Colts +5.5 would be a good bet? Yes, I'm bitter about that. But at the same time, you cannot sell your fan base that you went away from your number 4 overall pick who's developing because it gives you a better chance to win and then do this.
In college football terms, it's like walking away from a 5-star that you recruited all of his senior year to a 7th-year player who transferred from 5 different schools that has no affiliation to the school that you invested no money in. That's Joe Flacco. And it's insane. I can't believe that we're sitting here in 2024 watching snaps from him thinking, and not just him being out there and it's like week 17, but thinking that he is going to give you a chance to make a run towards the playoffs. Like Anthony,
wild.
AR-15, man, he got the short end of the stick, in my opinion. He's only thrown less than 300 passes in his NFL career. Some other franchise is going to get lucky to hopefully develop a player like that with all the tools. But man, even if he isn't great with his arm, Joe Flacco moves slower than you and I sitting in our chairs right now. At least Richardson can do something with his legs. It also makes Jonathan Taylor's job a little bit easier because when they do run the football and we're reading our keys that we have to be aware of the quarterback and the running back. When it's Flacco, it's either get downhill, get to the quarterback because they're going to pass it, or we're going to key our guard, we're going to key everything else, and we know that it's going to be in the run game, so get to Jonathan Taylor. And that's exactly what happened tonight. Minnesota played with their food a little bit. If you want to be considered a contender, Minnesota, this is a game where you got to put that team away.
Well, what's funny about that is Luke Braun from Locked On Vikings had that exact same vibe.
Vikings win. 21-13 is going to be the final score of this one. A little bit more interesting than it probably should have been. The Vikings had all kinds of problems, 3 turnovers, but also 3 touchdowns all on Sam Darnold. Kind of lived by Darnold and died by Darnold on this one. But the story on the other side of the ball with the defense is a huge bounce back. The only points that the Colts could score are 1 field goal after it was already over that they let up basically just to let time go off the clock, 1 field goal off of a short field from a bad Sam Darnold interception, and a defensive touchdown that they had nothing to do with. An absolute stone cold smacking by the Brian Flores defense on a Colts offense that's obviously in all of the turmoil in the world. We'll talk more about this on the postcast coming up now live on Locked On Minnesota Sports and of course on Locked On Vikings.
So, look, the Vikings won. The defense looked good again. I just don't trust Sam Darnold. I mean, he made some terrible decisions. He made some bad throws. You're talking about Detroit, talking about even a team like why couldn't the Cardinals beat the Vikings? I don't have any faith whatsoever in the Vikings. And I know that it's cute and fun to be like, oh, Sam Darnold revival. They need to go with JJ McCarthy next year. Sam Darnold is a function of the team, a function of the offense, a function of the play caller. He has not been tremendous in any way. He's making the throws that he needs to make. The last couple of weeks of the Vikings, even in this win, it just I just look at them side-eyed at this point. I'm just like, yeah, you're doing all right. But they're better than the Vikings. I don't think they're as fraudulent as the Vikings. They're a good team, but I don't see them as a true contender to come out of the NFC now like I thought they might be earlier in the year.
The thing about this Vikings team is we saw this exact team with Case Keenum in 2017. The exact same situation outside of having a JJ McCarthy young quarterback to go to next year, but a team that really caught lightning in a bottle. You have everything going right with KOC and Sam Darnold, allowing him to make throws within structure, and Brian Flores is putting together a case to maybe be a head coach again at some point in his career with that defense and what they're able to do. But that offense that you talk about in this day and age, you got to be able to score points. And if Sam Darnold is going to turn that ball over as many times as he did, talk about another quarterback in the NFC North that has a turnover problem. Like you said, when you look at Detroit, their quarterback is exceptional.
Yep.
But Minnesota, I think they're playing well above expectation right now. And at the end of the day, you have a team that's 6-2, and they're probably going to go on the road for a playoff game, which is going to be tough because they'll probably have the best record for the wild card teams. And that's the part I would be worried about if I was a Minnesota fan. What happens when we don't get to host this game at home and things aren't right for Sam Darnold and it's not all clicking? That's when you got to worry about things.
And a lot of these games, they've gotten up by double digits too. You know, it's 21-10 against the Colts, and they kind of just pin their ears back, and that's where Flores wants to be. So haven't seen them in a lot of super close games. Haven't seen them coming from behind very often. So I guess given those circumstances, I still just don't trust Minnesota the way that I would. But with that being said, that is going to do it for today's edition of Locked On NFL. Again, make sure that you get subscribed. Stay subscribed. Check out the afternoon edition of Locked On NFL, hosted by Tony Wiggins, the barber himself in the barber shop. That's going to do it for me, the madman Tyler Rowland, and every Monday, my co-host, Gino Camilleri. But as I tell you guys every single episode, stay safe out there.